Welcome to the Baseball Insiders. I'm Adam Weiner, but I pledge no rage baiting until at least December 18th. One more day. Joined here on the live stream, happy Wednesday, by FanSided MLB Insider, Robert Murray. He is back. Thanks for joining us, everybody, to watch the stream. Thanks for joining us, Robert. Glad to have you. We're going to talk about plenty and get your questions lined up, but potential Alex Bregman mystery team might be looming. Couldn't help but notice a little bit of additional smoke in Boston. The Phillies set their outfield with Adolis Garcia and brought Brad Keller in. What comes now? Plus the markets for Cody Bellinger, Kyle Tucker, and the Japanese stars, and answers to all of your questions. Robert Murray, happy to have you. Welcome to the show.
Hey, it's good to be here. Hopefully, I'll be able to get through the show today. I've been fighting through a cold, so don't mind me coughing or doing whatever. But it's good to be back here with you guys. There's been a lot of movement since the last time I was on the show. Was the last time I was on the show right after the winter meetings? So it's like I feel like it's been a hot second since I've been on here. So we've got a lot of stuff to kind of dive into. I'm excited to do so. I broke some news this morning of Brad Keller going to the Philadelphia Phillies. So we're often moving so far. Some reliever movement today, continuing a trend. So good to be here with you, Adam. Happy Wednesday. How are you doing?
Good to be here with you. Happy Wednesday. 3 seconds into the show, I'm already being called a wiener, so we're off to a hot start. Yeah, the reliever market's going crazy, and I don't know how many per day we can expect, but it does feel like a pretty consistent heartbeat of at least two. Again, thank you for joining us. We're here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We're staying through the heart of the offseason, trying to provide you as much live content as we can, couple pre-records. Also, join us in the Discord. If you can, we'd really appreciate it if you would pop it in there. There is a private Q&A in the All-Star channel on Thursdays. So that's, you got to join at the All-Star level. You can ask Robert and I questions between shows. Some funny business in the comments. We see you. Also, you could read more FanSided MLB content at the Baseball Insiders feed on fansided.com. That's fansided.com/baseball-insiders. You can also get all that and more to your inbox in the Moonshot. So subscribe. You get plenty of FanSided MLB content directly to your inbox that way. Well, Robert, yeah, you're right. You did break Brad Keller today. Luke Weaver also goes today. We might as well start there because I was all set to talk about the Phillies outfield maybe being set after Adolis Garcia. But then, and the outfield is still set, obviously. But I was like, hey, what's next for the Phils? Well, what's next is Brad Keller. He and Luke Weaver signed essentially identical deals today. The Yankees to Mets pipeline continues to be firmly in place. And the bullpen market getting a little thin, unless you're a big Pete Fairbanks guy, I guess. So thoughts on the bullpen market in general? The price has been, it feels like $20 million per year has sort of been the baseline price for a lot of these guys looking for short-ish terms. Ha-Seong Kim, Jorge Polanco. Now we're looking at a lot of $11 million a year bullpen guys going. So what's next as that trickle down happens?
Yeah, I'll start with the Phillies getting Brad Keller here. I really like that move by them. They were among the finalists, obviously, got narrowed down in recent days, and Keller really liked the idea of being in Philadelphia. Phillies already got a nice bullpen. They got some really nice young pieces there. Obviously, it's acquired a superstar closer at the deadline, and now they get Keller to add to that mix, and it makes all the sense in the world for them. They've obviously kept Kyle Schwarber. They're bolstering the bullpen by adding Keller. Now their focus has long been, since signing Schwarber, it's retaining JT Realmuto. Obviously, the two sides have not come to terms yet on a deal, but Philly wants to retain him. But there are other teams in the mix for Realmuto as well. It's no guarantee he returns, but it's clear that they want him. And again, like I mentioned it with the Dodgers, whenever they pursue star players, and I'll say it with the Phillies, when they really want a player, how often do they miss? So we'll see. But they have a lot of love for him there in Philadelphia. As far as the relievers go, this run has been pretty extreme. I can't recall a run on this for relievers to start an offseason, honestly, ever. And it's almost all the top end options have come off the board, and the only one looming is Pete Fairbanks. He's got plenty of interest. I can confidently say that. He's a player who obviously did very well in Tampa Bay. Very successful career there. I know he's battled injuries, but he still will do very well. And I would not be surprised if he ended up getting more than the $11 million club option that he ended up declining, or that the Rays ended up declining there. So He'll still do very well. It's just taking some time for his market to really materialize here. But I would still expect some other guys to come off the board here in the coming days. Or not the coming days, but the coming weeks. I think Danny Coulombe is a really fun option. He's someone who's done very well despite flying under the radar. I know the Angels were a team that were very much in the market for a left-handed reliever. Obviously signed Drew Pomeranz yesterday, but it seemed like they're really kind of focused in on that end. But I can confidently say, too, the Angels are looking for more bullpen help. They're one of the teams that's still in that market as well. So should be plenty of more movement here, but those are some initial thoughts.
Yeah, they got 2 done yesterday as well. Pomeranz, the latter move, and the Angels again seem to be a little bit unsettled. Now let's go to Alex Bregman and Boston, and maybe the mystery team, because the mystery team I think revealed itself last night. So no, it's no longer a mystery to anyone unless you haven't been online. There were some Jared Carrabis tweets dooming about the Red Sox's chances to get Bregman. Of course, not about their chances to get a big bat in general. Still more of those, but hey, all of a sudden, you've got the Diamondbacks in the picture for Alex Bregman. Another like Corbin Burns-esque situation of lives in Arizona. Hey, guess what? You get to do spring training here. You get to play your home games here. You just get to live here year-round with your family. Isn't that enticing? So if the Diamondbacks can put an offer together and then maybe ship Ketel Marte elsewhere, definitely feels like an enticing landing spot for Bregman. Of course, that elsewhere for Ketel Marte might be the Boston Red Sox. So these two teams are going to be intimately linked no matter what happens with Alex Bregman. But thoughts on that potential fit? And are they just an interesting mystery team to throw a wrench in things midway through December? Or are we really thinking about, okay, he might be pivoting and refocusing his thoughts and efforts towards Arizona?
Yeah, I would say I don't think there's any pivots going on here quite yet, but the Diamondbacks are absolutely in the market here for Bregman. And to me, this makes a ton of sense. Like if they trade Ketel Marte, you have the immediate big bat, the presence in the lineup, or just in the clubhouse that Ketel Marte has. And honestly, from a leadership perspective, I would put Bregman above Marte. I don't think anybody would disagree with that thinking there. But let's say you sign Bregman and then you end up trading Marte. So you're adding a very strong elite caliber piece in Bregman while also getting a haul of prospects or major league caliber talent in return for Marte. I can absolutely see the logic here from the Diamondbacks perspective. The hard part for me for them would be moving on from Marte's contract because it is among the most team friendly in baseball. Like when he signed it, like it was clear that it was a discount there for sure. So that's another element to this thing as well. But the Diamondbacks' interest to me in Bregman is sincere. And then that would open up a whole different can of worms here for Marte. Would he end up going to the Boston Red Sox? Would he go to the Seattle Mariners? Would he go to a bunch of other teams who are interested as well? I think all options are open at this point. But it's clear that in showing interest in Bregman, that the Diamondbacks are having like meaningful conversations about moving Marte, seemingly that they're very open to it. Because I can't imagine there's a world where Arizona is able to have both Bregman and Marte on the roster. Because from a payroll perspective, I just can't see that working. But I like that they're trying. I like that they're considering some different ideas here, and it wouldn't surprise me if we had a resolution there. I don't think by Christmas, but you would have to think they're like resolution's going to have to come sooner rather than later.
And Uncle Ted asking why trade Marte when you have him cheap alongside Perdomo. There were clubhouse issues there last year. And so I think the question is, this is not saying there will be clubhouse issues no matter where Marte goes, but everybody has worked jobs that don't work for them, but work for others. Maybe, I'm not saying he's going to cause clubhouse issues in Boston, but perhaps a more toxic fit in Arizona right now than he would be elsewhere. I feel like is my read on the situation.
No, I think you're spot on about that. And I remember the guy who reported the stuff on Marte and the clubhouse issues was Nick Piccoro. Piccoro is one of the best beat writers in baseball. When he writes something, he don't miss. He's as plugged in with the Diamondbacks as anyone is on any team. So props to Nick for being on top of that, because that's a tough story to write when you're there every day and having to write that. That's pretty difficult. But and also too, we've seen the Diamondbacks pull off a surprise before when they ended up signing Corbin Burns. Burns really wanted to be in Arizona. Like that was a super unique case where a star player just really wanted to be in a certain city. But I believe Bregman is from the Southwest here in this area, maybe Arizona or New Mexico. I think that's right. So he's obviously got ties to the area for sure. I think it makes all the sense, but it's going to have to, after what he ended up going through last year where he had to settle for a short-term deal, it seems like years in money is going to end up being, it should be the real priority here for him.
So also this question about KC Red Sox D-backs 3-team trade. Look, I don't know about all that, but I know the Royals have been interested in outfielders, and they did go ahead and fill that gap with Isaac Collins. But hey, couldn't help but notice the smoke over in Boston that Jarren Duran was not on yesterday's list of Fenway Fest attendees. Now, maybe they're being cautious. Maybe it's absolutely nothing. Maybe Jarren Duran is going to a Machine Gun Kelly concert that night and just can't make it. But I couldn't help but notice he will not be at that event as of now. And there's obviously been a lot of trade speculation about Duran and Wilyer Abreu. So what say you about one of the more valuable potential trade chips on the market if he ever actually hits the market?
I mean, I think he's definitely on the market here. Talking about Duran, like, does that mean he gets moved? Like, it's far from a certainty here because he's been mentioned in trade rumors before, and we have not had anything happen there whatsoever. They're placing a very high value on Jarren Duran, like very high. So that could always make it difficult for the Red Sox to move him, but there is still plenty of interest. Like the Royals are among the teams that I think make a ton of sense. The Padres have been interested for years at this point. There's other teams who have checked in on this thing as well, but from what they're asking for in a trade, I mean, there's teams that could end up being desperate enough where they pay it. But the Red Sox are in a position here where they don't have to move Abreu. They don't have to move Duran. They don't have to move any of these guys. They can be patient and hold on to them, and that's what they've done before, and I could see them doing it again.
Could as well. Appreciate the questions. People really want to talk about the San Francisco Giants. We will get there, and we'll honestly get there now as a spinoff because I wonder if they're in Cody Bellinger's market. I wonder if the Mets are in Cody Bellinger's market. I wonder if the Dodgers are there. We've seen some sort of sketchy reporting, basically narrowing it down to the Yankees, Dodgers, and Mets and the big city teams. But there were Bellinger Giants chatter last week, Bellinger Angels. I know Angels fans think that might be Artie Moreno's splurge. Just so we can clarify, heading closer to the weekend, heading closer to the Christmas holiday, where do things stand right now? And is Scott Boras happy to wait for Kyle Tucker to sign here before really taking action?
So there's a couple different ways we can look at this thing because we've seen Boras be super patient in years past, but he's not afraid of being aggressive and jumping when an opportunity presents itself. We saw it with Dylan Cease where he signed that very aggressive contract. Oh yeah, so Dustin May ended up getting $12.5 million. I was trying to get that confirmed. It's a good deal there.
That is money. That is money for Dustin May.
Yeah. But we saw Boras get aggressive with Dylan Cease where he signed for $210 million. And ever since then, the market for starting pitchers, like there hasn't been much movement there whatsoever. We've seen him do it with Hassan Kim with the Atlanta Braves, where there were some people who thought, yeah, he could even linger until like March. And it wouldn't have surprised me one bit, but the Braves got aggressive there, and Boras got to a point where he wanted to take it. But there's been other times where he's waited it out. He's done it with Bellinger before. I don't think he has to wait for Tucker. He can do whatever he wants here. I don't have a good feel for the timing on either of these ones, if I'm being honest. Like I could see him happening after Christmas. I could see him happening after the New Year. I genuinely don't know, but all it takes is for one team to be aggressive here, where it can get it to move. But I think the Giants, I've thought for a while that they're a great fit for him, or even a guy like Kyle Tucker. I mean, I think they need another bat there for sure. I know there's some other people who kind of disagree with me, but the Giants' focus this offseason is pitching, pitching, and pitching. Like they've added some relievers, agreed to a deal yesterday with Adrian Hauser. They're going to continue looking for more pitching, but that's definitely the focus there. I think the Mets make a ton of sense for Bellinger because if you're Steve Cohen and you're looking exactly how this offseason's gone for them, you have to be frustrated. Like there's no other way for you to like be happy about it. It's been an incredibly frustrating offseason for the Mets where they've lost some pretty key pieces. A lot of time for them to salvage it. And if you can end up getting a Bellinger type, or if you can get a Kyle Tucker type, and then you can add some other pieces around that offense or just roster as a whole, that can salvage it. But then we also have the Yankees who make plenty of sense. They're still trying, but who knows? With him lingering in the market, anything can happen there.
Yeah, speaking of the Mets, whenever you have the chance to recreate the 2025 Yankees bullpen, you simply have to do it. They were way too successful last year to let that plan go by the wayside. Sorry, just being a wiener for a second. Hey, what about these Japanese stars who are still on the market? I know there has been a little bit of reporting today indicating that the Tatsuya Imai market is getting narrowed down a little bit. We've seen the Yankees and Cubs listed as potential finalists. The Phillies have also been heavily involved there in the rumor, in the rumor mill. We don't know how involved, but they've been connected. Murakami, his deadline's coming up a lot sooner, and we know next to nothing about that market. It's just been sort of 8 teams that have checked in, and everyone seems scared to make any sort of proclamation there. Okamoto lurking below the surface as well. People really believe in him as a versatile option, but I know, man, they are talking about flying under the radar. I don't know anything about the plans of either of those 2 offensive players. Have you heard anything to clarify?
I can confidently say this. Do not take the lack of buzz as a sign that there's little interest. And typically, somebody else said this today, and I had somebody send it to me and say spot on. Like when teams are like kind of lukewarm interested on a player, that's typically when you hear interest leaking. But when there's total silence, that to me signals that teams are trying to play their cards close to the vest, that they want to keep it private. And with there being so little leaks on this, that to me signifies that there's a lot of interest here in a guy like Murakami, as there should be. He's got rare power. I've talked to players who have faced him overseas, and they say he's a big league caliber player, big league body, like big league power, like everything about him just oozes like a very good major league player. Obviously, there's concerns about the strikeouts and the swing and miss there. Like, yeah, I get it for sure. But from a power perspective, he's a rare talent. And there's very strong interest in him. There's strong interest in Imai. Like, there's a lot of interest in these guys. It's like we obviously need a resolution here before too long. But I feel pretty confident saying there's a lot of interest in both players, and especially Murakami.
Imai coming up on, I think, January 2nd, I think, is the Imai decision. Murakami's is before the end of the year. Again, it feels like we've got a lot of offseason left, but as soon as the calendar turns to January 1st, it's starting to feel pretty close to spring training, which is insane, but is true. So
yeah, because I was talking about it at the winter meetings with Todd Rosiak, who's a really good friend of mine who covers the Brewers, and he was like, can you believe that 2 months from now we're going to be reporting to spring training? I'm like, what are you talking about? And I looked and I'm like, oh yeah, that's actually right. That's crazy. It happens. Off seasons are so quick. This one has felt long, but also quick at the same time, which I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's at least how it's felt on my end.
That's how I feel too. It feels like it's been a flash, but also I think back to what I was doing on like November 1st, and I'm like, that was an extremely long time ago. But hey, who knows? We're coming up on the end of the show. Want to touch on some of your questions, though. People asking about the Pirates throughout the show. That guy wants to make sure the Pirates aren't, I don't know if we could say that term on the stream, but everybody wants to know if Ben Cherington is alive, awake, if any of that budget is going to good use. So what say you? Well, there it is. I guess we could say so.
No, that's there we go. Pirates are trying. I can say that. They are still active in conversations. They wanted Schwarber. They wanted Josh Naylor. They were very interested in Jorge Polanco. I can confidently say that. Obviously did not get any of the 3. So they're looking at some different options here, whether it could be a Ryan O'Hearn type. They could be looking at Okamoto. They could be like Willie Castro is a nice like alternative option after losing out on Jorge Polanco. Look at the trade market where a guy like Luis Robert Jr. would make a lot of sense. So there's still options for them where they can explore. They will add, I feel very confident in that. I've maintained that all off season. They just haven't gotten anything done. But the thing is like we've seen the run on relievers. Like it's been a very aggressive, widespread just run on them. But bats have mostly stayed on the market. So a lot of time for them to salvage this. But I don't think I don't expect them to do like a Cody Bellinger type splash, but there will be multiple moves there. It's just taking a little bit longer than they would prefer, but I can confidently say that Ben Cherington is working the phones.
And what about Henry Bishop and co? Anything on the Brewers? I mean, Gerson Garabito doesn't light your fire. Either way, obviously, I think when Brewers fans ask this question, it could mean, hey, Freddy Peralta on the move or not. What are your current thoughts and read on that market?
Yeah, no, Peralta's drawing a lot of interest. That's no secret whatsoever. I think it's a very strong market that he has. And the Brewers have said it, that they are not in a position where they have to move Peralta, but they will listen because it's a position that they have to, that they're the smallest market in the league. I would not be surprised if a trade did happen. I wouldn't be surprised at all. I think the interest in him is that strong where it could lead to a trade. But they're in a spot where I think teams, like it stinks that we have to talk about the Brewers possibly trading Peralta, and especially because he's only making $8 million. Like, that's really unfortunate for them. But this is one where I think the interest could lead to a trade is what I'll say.
Appreciate the question, of course. We thank everyone for joining us. MLB Deadline News asking if there are any MLB teams set up to be bona fide dynasties in the vein of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Well, I mean, the Red Sox, I feel like, are the obvious answer in terms of have not won a title with this core yet, but people were already talking as if they were a future dynasty. But also, why are we calling the Thunder a dynasty when the most recent champs are the New York Knicks, baby, NBA Cup champions? That's a real thing that everyone understands and celebrates. So can't be a dynasty if you can't win 2 in a row. Sorry, Thunder. The Knicks are actually the real NBA dynasty. Robert, anything else in the notebook before we sign off?
I can confidently say as of this point, I don't have anything in the drafts, so I'm going to try making some phone calls. Honestly, I need to drink something because my voice is screwed up still from the cold. So I apologize for that, but I appreciate everyone who tuned in. Adam, I appreciate you. You're the absolute best. So
appreciate you, Robert. Thank you for joining us. Thanks everyone for joining us in the chat again. Head to the Discord, and if you can sign up at the All-Star level, you'll get access to a private Q&A tomorrow. We'd love to see more people in there as the off-season continues. We'd love to share some insights. I'd love to say Wiener on multiple platforms again. Probably not. I'd rather not say that. But we appreciate everybody joining us as always. See you right back here on Friday on the Baseball Insiders.
Thank you, everybody.